What if everything you were taught about learning was completely wrong? The way you study, the way you work, the way you sleep, the way you exercise, all of it scientifically backwards. Dr. John Medina is a molecular biologist. He has spent 30 years studying one thing. How does the human brain actually work? And what he found will completely change how you think, learn, work, and live. This is Brain Rules. 12 scientifically proven principles for surviving and thriving at work, home, and school. Let's go. Dr. John Medina is not a motivational speaker. He is not a life coach. He is a developmental molecular biologist. At the University of Washington School of Medicine, he has spent decades in research labs, studying how genes affect brain development. And after 30 years of research, he wrote Brain Rules. Not to inspire you, to show you with hard science exactly how your brain functions, and how most of us are living, working, and learning in ways that are completely against our brain's design. Here are the 12 rules that will change everything. Let's start with something that will shock you. The human brain was not designed for sitting at a desk 8 hours a day. We evolved as walkers. Our ancestors walked up to 12 miles per day. And their brains evolved while moving, not while sitting still. Dr. Medina says, exercise is the single most powerful thing you can do for your brain. Not reading, not meditation, not brain training apps. Exercise. Here's why. When you exercise, your heart pumps faster. More blood reaches your brain. That blood carries oxygen and glucose, the brain's two primary fuels. More fuel equals brain works better. Simple. But here's where it gets fascinating. Exercise also triggers the release of a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Scientists call it miracle grow for the brain. BDNF literally grows new brain cells. It strengthens neural connections. It makes you smarter. One study showed aerobic exercise twice a week cuts your risk of dementia in half, cuts your risk of Alzheimer's by 60%. And students who exercise before class score significantly higher on tests than students who don't. Dr. Medina's advice? Walk for 30 minutes 3 times a week. That's it. That's the minimum dose. Your brain will thank you for life. Here's something most people never think about. Your brain is not a modern machine. It's an ancient survival device, running inside a modern world. It was never designed for millions of years. Humans had one goal: survive long enough to reproduce. That means your brain is obsessed with danger, food, sex, social connection. Not spreadsheets, not emails, not Zoom meetings. Dr. Medina explains the brain has 3 layers. Layer 1, the lizard brain, controls breathing, heartbeat, survival instincts. This is millions of years old. Layer 2, the mammalian brain, controls emotions and memory. Layer 3, the cortex, the wrinkled outer layer. This is where thinking, language, and logic happen. Here's the problem. These 3 layers don't always agree. Your logical brain says, go to the gym. Your emotional brain says, I'm scared of failing. Your lizard brain says, stay safe, don't move. And often, the older layers win. Understanding this is the first step to working with your brain, instead of fighting against it. This rule will make you feel better immediately. There is no such thing as a normal brain. Every single human brain on this planet is wired completely differently. Dr. Medina says, if you remember the first day of school differently than your sibling does, you're not wrong. They're not wrong. Your brains literally stored the memory differently. Here's why this matters. Schools teach everyone the same way. Offices expect everyone to work the same way. Society judges everyone by the same standards. But science says that makes zero sense. Your brain's wiring depends on your genes, your experiences, your environment, every conversation you've ever had, every book you've ever read, every trauma you've experienced. No two brains are identical. Even identical twins have different brain wiring. After just a few years of different experiences. What does this mean for you? Stop comparing your results to other people's results. Your brain is running a completely different program. Find how you learn best. Find when your brain performs best. And build your life around your brain, not someone else's. Here is a rule that every teacher, boss, and content creator needs to hear. The brain cannot pay attention to boring things. Full stop. Dr. Medina says, the brain pays attention to things that are 1. Emotionally charged. 2. Connected to survival. 3. Interesting and novel. Everything else? Filtered out. Ignored. Forgotten. Here's the research. Studies show the average person's attention starts fading after just 10 minutes of a lecture, meeting, or class. 10 minutes. After that, without something new and interesting, the brain checks out completely. This is why Dr. Medina says, every 10 minutes you must do something to re-engage attention. Tell a story. Show an image. Create an emotional moment. Ask a surprising question. Share a shocking statistic. This is also why the best public speakers change their energy, voice, and content every 10 minutes. And this is exactly why your YouTube videos need a pattern interrupt every 8 to 10 minutes. Or your audience will click away. The brain doesn't multitask. The brain doesn't stay focused automatically. You have to earn its attention every single 10 minutes. This rule will completely change how you study and how you learn anything new. Here's how memory actually works. When you experience something, your brain first stores it in short-term memory. This is like RAM on a computer. Fast, temporary, very limited. Within seconds, your brain starts deciding, is this important enough to keep? Or should I delete it? If it decides to keep it, the information moves to long-term memory. But here's the problem. Most of what enters short-term memory gets deleted within 30 seconds. Gone. Forever. Dr. Medina says there are 3 things that move information from short to long-term memory. 1. Repetition. The more you encounter information, the more your brain thinks it's important. 2. Emotion. Information attached to emotion gets stored immediately and permanently. You remember where you were on September 11th. You remember your first heartbreak. You remember embarrassing moments from 10 years ago. Emotion is memory's highlighter. 3. Meaning. Your brain stores information that it connects to something it already knows. This is why analogies and stories are the most powerful teaching tools ever invented. Practical tip from Dr. Medina. If you want to remember something, review it within 90 minutes of learning it. Then review it again the next day. Then again in a week. This is called spaced repetition. And it's the most scientifically proven learning technique in existence. This might be the most important rule in the entire book, because almost everyone is violating it every single day. Dr. Medina says, the brain needs sleep to function, not just for energy, for survival. Here's what happens when you sleep. Your brain literally cleans itself. During sleep, a system called the glymphatic system activates and flushes out toxic waste products that built up in your brain during the day. One of those waste products? Amyloid plaques, the exact protein associated with Alzheimer's disease. When you skip sleep, those toxins don't get flushed. They accumulate. Every single night you don't sleep enough. But it gets worse. Studies show that after just 17 hours without sleep, your cognitive performance is equal to someone with a blood alcohol level of 0.05. After 24 hours without sleep, you perform like a legally drunk person. And the most terrifying part: sleep-deprived people cannot accurately judge how impaired they are. You think you're fine. You are not fine. Dr. Medina also says, the brain doesn't stop working during sleep. It consolidates memories. Everything you learned that day gets processed, organized, and stored during sleep. This is why pulling an all-nighter before an exam is scientifically the worst strategy possible. You're literally preventing your brain from storing what you just studied. Sleep 7 to 8 hours every single night. Non-negotiable. You cannot learn when you are stressed. This is not an opinion. This is biology. Dr. Medina explains. When your brain detects a threat, real or imagined, it triggers the stress response. Adrenaline and cortisol flood your system. Your body prepares to fight or run. Blood flows away from your prefrontal cortex, the thinking, learning part of your brain, and flows toward your muscles and survival systems. Because your brain's number one priority is survival. Not learning. Not creativity. Not problem solving. Survival. This is why students who come from stressful home environments perform significantly worse in school. Employees who work under micromanaging bosses become less creative and productive over time. Chronic stress literally shrinks the hippocampus, the brain's memory center. But here's what most people don't know. There's a specific type of stress that actually helps performance. It's called acute stress. Short bursts. Clear beginning and end. A tight deadline. A presentation. A competition. This type of stress can boost focus and performance. The problem is chronic stress. Stress with no end. No control. No relief. This type destroys the brain slowly. Dr. Medina's solution? Build psychological safety at home and work. Exercise regularly, it metabolizes stress hormones. Sleep enough, it resets the stress system. And learn to identify the difference between helpful pressure and harmful chronic stress. Rule 8: stimulate more of the senses. Here's something fascinating. The more senses involved in learning something, the better your brain remembers it. Dr. Medina calls this multisensory learning. The research is stunning. When people hear information only, they remember about 10% of it 3 days later. When people see an image with that information, they remember 65% of it 3 days later. 65% versus 10%. Same information, just adding a visual. But when you add smell, touch, sound, and sight together, memory retention goes through the roof. This is why you remember the smell of your grandmother's kitchen, the feeling of your first car, the sound of a song from your childhood. Multiple senses, multiple memory pathways, stored permanently. Practical applications. When studying, read out loud. You're adding auditory processing to visual reading. When learning a new skill, use your hands. Physical touch creates motor memory. When presenting, use visuals, stories, and movement. Not just slides full of bullet points. And this is why the best teachers and leaders don't just talk. They make you feel, see, hear, and experience. Rule 9: vision trumps all other senses. Of all your senses, vision is the most powerful. By a massive margin. Dr. Medina says, 50% of your brain's resources are dedicated to visual processing. Half. Your entire brain. Just for vision. And here's the shocking part. The brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text. 60,000 times. So when you put text on a slide, your brain has to translate that text into an image before it can understand it. When you show an actual image, the brain understands instantly. This is called the pictorial superiority effect. And it completely destroys the way most people make presentations. Walls of text. Bullet points. Paragraphs. Dr. Medina says, replace your text-heavy slides with images. Replace your written descriptions with visual demonstrations. Use diagrams instead of definitions. This is also why great YouTube channels use visuals, animations, and B-roll constantly, instead of just a talking head. Your eyes are not just windows to the world. They are the most powerful information processor your brain has. Use visuals. Always. Rule 10: Music in the brain. Music is not just entertainment. It is a neurological phenomenon. Dr. Medina says, music activates more areas of the brain simultaneously than almost any other activity. Motor control. Hearing. Emotion. Memory. Language. All firing at the same time. This is why music with strong rhythm improves physical performance. Athletes run faster, lift heavier with the right music. Music in a major key tends to elevate mood. Music in a minor key tends to deepen emotion. And here's something extraordinary. The Mozart effect research showed that listening to Mozart before a spatial reasoning task temporarily improved performance. Though the effect is short-lived. What it proved is that music directly affects cognitive function more powerfully. Music is the most powerful memory trigger known to science. A song you haven't heard in 20 years can instantly bring back detailed memories, emotions, and even smells. That's because music encodes memories with emotional tags, making them almost impossible to forget. Practical tip: use specific music for specific tasks. Study with the same playlist. Work out with the same playlist. Your brain starts to associate that music with that cognitive state and gets into flow faster. Rule 11: Male and female brains are different. Science has confirmed something that many people have felt intuitively. Male and female brains are genuinely different. Not better or worse. Different. Dr. Medina lays out the research clearly. The brain's response to stress differs by sex. Under stress, women tend to activate the left hemisphere, processing emotion and wanting to talk. Under stress, men tend to activate the right hemisphere, focusing on solutions and going quiet. This explains why after an argument, a woman wants to talk about it, and a man wants to solve it and move on. Neither is wrong. The brain is just wired differently. Memory also differs. Women tend to remember emotional details of events. Men tend to remember the abstract summary. Same event. Different memories. Both accurate. And response to depression differs. Women are twice as likely to experience depression. But men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide, because they process and express emotional pain differently. Dr. Medina's point is not to stereotype. His point is, respect the differences. Design schools, workplaces, and relationships that work for both types of brains, not just one. Rule 12: We are powerful and natural explorers. The final rule, and possibly the most hopeful: human beings are born to explore. Dr. Medina says, babies are the greatest learning machines ever created. They test hypotheses. They observe. They experiment. They fail. They try again. They are natural scientists. But somewhere between childhood and adulthood, that curiosity gets trained out of us. Schools reward right answers, not exploration. Workplaces reward efficiency, not experimentation. Society rewards certainty, not curiosity. And the brain suffers for it. Because the brain is literally designed to seek new information. Curiosity activates the brain's reward system. Learning something new releases dopamine. The brain wants to explore. It craves new knowledge. Dr. Medina's challenge to you: never stop being curious. Ask why relentlessly. Explore subjects outside your comfort zone. Stay a student forever. Because the moment you think you know enough, your brain begins to decline. But the moment you embrace curiosity, your brain comes alive. You are a natural-born explorer. Act like it.so. Let's bring all 12 rules together. Exercise makes your brain stronger. Your brain evolved for survival, not school. Every brain is uniquely wired. Attention fades after 10 minutes. Emotion and repetition lock in memory. Sleep cleans and consolidates your brain. Chronic stress destroys learning. Multiple senses multiply memory. Vision is your brain's most powerful input. Music rewires emotion and memory. Male and female brains process differently. And curiosity is your brain's superpower. 12 rules. All scientifically proven. All free to apply starting today. Dr. John Medina spent 30 years in research labs. So you don't have to. The question is, are you going to keep living against your brain? Or are you going to start working with it? The choice starts right now. If this video gave you real value, hit the like button. Subscribe for weekly book summaries like this. And comment below. Which brain rule shocked you the most? I promise I'll reply. See you in the next one.